Hmm. Nightwing, where are you? I mean, I'll be honest. Nightwing he's tech savvy, but not Google Hangouts. I don't blame him. I don't blame him. Oh,
I
here
fucking
he
hate
is.
I hate Google, man. This shit's so stupid.
All right. So got Nightwing in the building. Finally got himself to watch a little bit of the finals. Let me tell you something about this guy first before we even get started. Okay, if Nightwing thought that the Warriors were dead game, what was it, game 5? He was like, during game 5 against the Blazers, he was like, yo, how are we gonna beat these guys?
This is true.
We can't even beat the Blazers. And then as soon as he said that, the Curry thing happened, like where he went 17 in the overtime in less than 5 minutes, actually. But
were we watching that game together? Was that game?
That was a game we were at your house watching it. And when Curry did like this combo move, left-handed pass,
That's just crazy.
Yeah, we were like, it was mainly me, but Chris was as well getting hyped up. But like his daughter woke up, we were that hyped about it. But yeah, so he's a quintessential. Nightwing is the quintessential Warriors fan because the Warriors have been in
we've
toilet
been asked for so long that like real Warrior fans revert back to that mentality by nature. It's not like we're like LA people, we're like like there's greatness involved with the franchise or like Boston or whatever. Like Warriors have been known. It was embarrassing as in high school to be a Warrior fan.
So well, when you have that silly ass mascot,
Thunder,
and those terrible colors.
Look, that happened right when I went into high school, and I never liked any of that. Like I thought it was horrible.
You couldn't even rock Warrior gear and be taken seriously. Like a Bucks hat is like, oh, green and gold. Like you could pull it off. Celtics green and white, even when they sucked. But like Warrior orange and blue was like, what are you wearing?
The mascot alone was just, I mean, I just never understood it. It was like we're so Warriors. Bad. We're Warriors, and then our mascot's Thunder, and like I was like, "What is this?"
So
like,
bad.
He's like some like knockoff superhero. I was like, "Come on, dude!"
So you must have been hyped when they went back to the old bridge logo.
That's the thing is that I like on retro nights or what do they call them? Throwback.
Yeah, throwback nights with the
something like that, where they wear like the retro jerseys. Not when they go way back to the San Francisco days, because I don't like those jerseys. But
you don't like those with the cable car uniform in the back?
No, not that one. The old one where like it was red and I think there was like an Indian on it or something. I didn't like those. Right. But the city jerseys, the cable cars, the throwback, kind of like what they're wearing right now, just the circle logo, like those ones I've always loved. Like it goes back to the retro kind of like mentality in my head where like anything nostalgic, like it kicks me in the nuts, where it's just like, yo, that's sick.
Yeah. So I mean, look, for the people who want to say bandwagon, yo, if anyone is a legit Warrior fan, it makes sense. He lives in the Bay. It's Nightwing. He's been through the shit. And look, I don't swear that often on camera, but yo, he's been through some shit. I mean, I remember he used to tell me how pissed he was when they traded Monta Ellis. And that's how you know when you're a real irrational Warriors fan, is when you don't even know the better for your team.
Not irrational. Come on. At that point, no, you have to think about it from at the standpoint that the team was in right there. He was our only scorer. Yeah, you know what I mean? And they got rid of him.
From a basketball point of view, I remember when that trade happened, and I was like, finally, the Warriors did something smart. Yes, he was the leading scorer, but they weren't getting anywhere with Monta Ellis.
No, I agree. That's the thing, though, is that a lot of the rumblings that fans heard back then, it was all about what can they do to piece around Monta and all that stuff. And then there would be games. I'd be watching these games. Dude, these games right now, like the tickets are so expensive, but back then, like they were, they were super cheap. Like you can get like the back rows like the day of for like $25.
Yeah, lower level was like $70 easily.
That's what I'm saying. And so like at that point in time, they were looking, from what we were hearing, to piece things around Monta. And then I remember watching games where this is back when like Jamal Crawford was on the team and everything, and we'd be on the line, dude, and like Monta would take that last shot, and it would kind of remind you of like a Jordan moment or maybe a Kobe moment, and all that stuff. And the downside is that unlike Jordan or Kobe, Monta couldn't come through in the clutch. So I remember there was this one game where we were at the game and we were watching it courtside, and Crawford got the last shot. He hit the game winner, and like we were all like, "What? Like this is crazy." Yeah. So to have that kind of rumblings within the franchise, to seeing somebody getting the option or the opportunity to close out games, failing multiple times, and then getting booted, I was like, "Yo, he didn't really show us what he got yet." At least that's how I felt. Because like when he was in like young on the team, it was still like Don Nelson's team, so he was heavily rotating Jackson and Davison versus Ellis and Curry. You know what I mean? And that was another thing that kept being talked about too, was how are Curry and Ellis going to play together after those two left? And that's when like that, as soon as that happened, then boom, they get rid of him, because at that time Curry was the anybody touches him, he gets an ankle sprain or something. And so so as soon as that happened, and then they got rid of Ellis, and like I was like, what are we gonna do now, dude? Like we got nothing. And hey, Curry went to Under Armour, stopped getting ankle sprains, and the rest is history, right?
Right. So now it's crazy because the Warriors aren't just like, hey, they're good again. It's like, holy moly, this is like one of the best teams ever. And we were just talking about this earlier in our text chat, where you know, a lot of people like to play that hypothetical game. And I asked you, I said, so how many teams, that OKC team that showed up in game 3 and 4, where they absolutely demolished the Warriors, where they looked unstoppable, where I wasn't talking to you at the time, but I'm almost 100% positive you were like, we're not beating this team. We're not getting into the finals. That OKC team.
Yeah, so we're talking about the last series, right?
Yeah, the last series. That OKC team in games 3 and 4, I asked you earlier tonight, I said, how many teams would that Thunder squad win against the Bulls? And then I reminded you, I said, remember, the Sonics team in the finals with Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Sam Perkins, Nate McMillan, these guys, they won 2 games against that Bulls team, the 72-10. So how many would this Thunder team that whipped the ass of this 73-9 Warrior squad would win? And what did you say? They'd
go at least to a game 7.
At least, right?
At least, yeah, like it would have to go down to the wire.
Right. And we're not saying that OKC would beat that team, but I mean, we're giving them game 7, and I think that's reasonable. Now, then I reminded you, I said, okay, so this Warriors team that beat the team we just said would get to a game 7 against the Bulls. What then? Would this Warriors team beat them? And we didn't say yes, but we didn't.
That's the thing, is like you get to a certain point in sports, and skill takes you wherever it takes you, right? But the rest of it's like 100% will. And that's where Jordan, you know what I mean? Like these other players, Kobe, even LeBron at times, they have this willpower about them that exceeds skill level.
I've seen LeBron do it twice. With Kobe and LeBron, with Kobe and Jordan, it was every night. But I get what you're saying.
No, I understand. That's why I said LeBron at times. I'm not going to, you got to give him credit where credit's due.
That's what made Kobe and LeBron, or Kobe and Jordan, like not human, where it was like, bro, it's January.
That's what I'm saying.
The Bucks. That's my second Bucks diss, but you're playing
Ray Allen and Glenn Robinson.
Glenn Robinson, the third.
So
yo, like chill. You don't need to win this game, but yeah, I get what you're saying, right? So, but in a
But
hypothetical, who do you think? How would a game 7 turn out against the Warriors and the Bulls?
that's what I mean, though, is that I don't. It could go either way, because the thing with this current Warriors squad that hopefully everybody would agree with the Bulls squad is that they have multiple options. That was even LeBron's point after the whole MVP thing was done, was that can you really call Steph the MVP when you've got Klay, who proved MVP caliber play against OKC, Draymond doing it right now, Livingston even, you know what I mean? And that dude's got like nothing in his knees left, and he's able to do this stuff based off of pure willpower. So you've got a whole squad of guys willing to will their team to win. And over in Chicago, you had Jordan and you had Pippen.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I think people overlook, like, when you really break down those Bull squads, it's like, you know what? They overachieved. Yes, they had Pippen and Jordan, some of the greatest players of all time. But like Pippen, top 25 probably. Jordan, the best. But then like, okay, Rodman, so limited,
That dude could barely shoot a free throw.
Right. He was so limited. Then you had like Luke Longley, who was like a rollover. You had Tony Kukoc, who couldn't play D, but he knew how to use his length. Then you had like Steve Kerr. I mean, come on. They really overachieved that squad. When you got Will Perdue playing minutes for you, or Joe Bushler playing minutes for you.
Well, I think that type of credit belongs to coaching at that point.
Right, which is why it's ridiculous when people say Phil Jackson, oh, he had Kobe and Shaq, oh, he had Jordan and Pippen. It's like,
that guy created one of the most effective offensive plays of all time, besides the pick and roll, which is the basic of basics. Mm-hmm. The triangle is a lot more complicated, and then what the triangle does is gets anybody an open look. You know what I mean? And so you can play with a team that has limited skill sets, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Where when Rodman does, somehow he gets it open underneath the rim. You know what I mean? Like, all he's got to do is just lay it in real quick. Or you get an open 3-point shooter in Kerr, open on the 3, which is exactly what you need. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, to me,
people don't give it enough credit.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. People don't give the credit enough to the triangle because they don't. First of all, it's one of the hardest things to learn. But second of all, is that they forget what it does. And what the triangle to me does the most, watching it through the years. I mean, my Lakers ran it forever. Was it forced the defensive team to space the floor the way the offensive team wanted it to. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about it. Dennis Rodman has no business being on the floor on the offensive end unless someone puts up a garbage shot, he gets the rebound. He doesn't space the floor at all. You could basically do what the Warriors did to Tony Allen last year in the semifinals and just ignore him and just roam. But the triangle forces you to like space the floor with no matter who's on the floor.
Well, exactly. You got to give respect to every team running that play, and which is a bummer for New York and everything. Because I know that they tried it. I don't know how that wasn't effective for them, but I don't know.
It's a hard thing to learn. You need high IQ guys. I mean, you look at these guys like. You look like Steve Kerr. He's not very talented. Okay, he could shoot, but he was high IQ. Excuse me. He was high IQ and
left over from the spicy ramen challenge.
Hell no. This is not sugar-free soda. God damn it.
But that's another good point though, because I saw somebody leave a comment in the chat saying that the Bulls had specialists along with two of the greatest players in the league, which is completely true. Which is a huge reason why that team is so successful. But you had guys where the stereotypical role player, you know what I mean? Like you had the shooter, you had the rebounder or the defender or whatever. So like that was what it was all about back then, and that's what made mediocre teams excel into great teams. And then today, I feel like everybody's got a shot. Like going back to that Portland series, like when did everybody become a 3-point specialist? Like I was shocked. I was like, holy cow! Like all of these guys are like players I've never heard of are knocking down threes. it's weird. You know, it's like weird to see legit scores anywhere and anytime.
Right. And a lot of people like to pick on the league now and say that it's soft or whatever. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, but what I do disagree with is when people say that the league is watered down. Like when Tracy McGrady says this, a guy who hasn't even been past the semifinals. So, I mean, come on. But when he says that the league is watered down, I totally disagree. I think that the league has right now the most talent it's ever had. But what it doesn't have is as much skill. And what I mean by that is like, look at a guy like Rick Fox, won rings, was a starter, was a bench player for the Lakers. He did it all, right? He is more skillful and a more valuable player than J.R. Smith is. But does that mean J.R. Smith isn't more talented? No, because J.R. Smith is more talented. He has a higher ceiling, right?
I think these new guys are more athletic. You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
kind of where it's hindering certain levels, because watching the D League players and having my experience with that, plus this, all these guys are almost on the same level. There's very little superstars right now in the league, and that's where I think McGrady was saying it gets watered down, because everybody's almost on an equal playing field. Where's the Wades? Where's the LeBrons? Where's the Kobes now? You know what I mean? Like, is DeRozan it, or you know what I'm saying? Is someone like Harden like the next thing? Like, that's where somebody from that past generation is kind of like looking at it like, yo, this is a joke compared to what it was back then.
Well, that comes out
back then though, the D League was pretty trash.
Yeah.
Like, it was, you were an embarrassment of a player for whatever reason to be playing for the D League. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I think things change right now, is that all of these AAU camps and all of the different little things that they got. I mean, you got kids playing year round their whole lives. That these guys are athletic. They're just not trained in a specific, you know what I mean, like field.
That goes back to my skill argument. I think a part of a skill for basketball, or if you're just an athlete, is being a professional. And if you look at guys like James Harden, and if you look at, guys like Boogie Cousins, these are transcendent, talented players. We haven't seen a guy get to the line like Harden has in quite some time. We haven't seen a big man with so many skills like Boogie has. The guy's shooting threes now, scoring 60 points in a game. I mean, when was the last big man you saw score 60 points in a game? I'll answer it for you. It's Shaquille O'Neal.
I was going to say Shaq.
Yeah, so I mean, these guys are so talented, but they don't have the professionalism, which I think is a skill. If you put Kobe's brain inside of James Harden, what would happen? If you if you put Shaq's will for the game inside Boogie Cousins, it's over, right? And it's just like, to me, that's what I mean by skill, is because part of your skill is learning how to use what you have. Steve Kerr's skill, shooting. His another skill, he learned how to contribute by just doing that. The dude would get rolled over in today's NBA, right? Like,
oh, definitely.
Yeah, imagine him trying to guard his own player, Curry or Westbrook. That'd be funny. He couldn't even guard Tyronn Lue in those throwback matchups people are sending me on Twitter. But yeah, let's get into this series so far, because it was the rematch that a lot of people wanted to see. And one thing I want to address, because I addressed this in my other live streams, but not with you, is that, and I want to get your take, is that coming into this series, before even game 7 or 6 happened against Golden State and OKC, people were saying, and by people, I mean one of them being Charles Barkley, was saying, if OKC advance, I pick them to win the championship. But if Golden State advances, he would have picked the Cavs to win the championship. Right. So by that, and a lot of people were saying that, and in the chat room, they're going to deny it. I already know, but don't lie. It's true. Basically, that would be the power rankings for those people. Would be the best team in the playoffs were the Thunder, then the Cavs, then the Warriors. To me, it was whoever wins the Thunder versus Warriors, and it happened to be the Warriors. So them number 1.
Yeah, whoever comes out of the West.
Right. Then the Thunder, and then the Cavs. To me, the Cavs are the third best team in the playoffs. But honestly, I would probably pick the Spurs over them. What are your takes on that?
Look, I really, at a point in my life, really loved post NBA Chuck. Like that dude,
Right.
he's very knowledgeable, all that stuff. Now I feel like all he does is like troll. I don't know if he's being for real or
He
what,
might
but
be
like
getting senile. I mean, we can't put that past him,
maybe,
right?
yeah, who knows? But some of the stuff that he says, like lately, I'm like, really, you know what I mean? And so, and this goes to a lot of those players. Pippen opening up a can of worms. Tracy doing it too. Everybody not giving this current generation the credit for the work they've put in. Every team, not just the Warriors. Like we're talking about the whole league. Like these guys are in the NBA. You have to give them a certain level of respect, And so it's a little disheartening seeing older guys be almost salty. For what reason? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't understand that type of mentality. Like if you're there to analyze the game, analyze what's there. Don't compare it to stuff that happened before, because those teams will never match up, no matter how much you want them to, unless it's in 2K and you're playing like, classic fucking Bulls against current Golden State. The matchup will never happen. So, so I think that what Chuck says is basically garbage, to put it lightly. So, and it sucks because, again, like I said, I like really respected his opinion at one point. Because I felt like he was a legit analyst, like clearly looking at things. I remember when we were in this is our We Believe Warrior team, when we were up against, as an 8th seed, against the number 1 seed Dallas Mavericks. One of the most, I wouldn't say historic,
most unique. It's the most unique.
Yeah, it was. Look, that shouldn't have happened.
No, yeah, and I covered that in one of my NBA Talk videos. What's the best first round ever? And it's probably one of the most memorable because that was like a team that, like, you didn't even have to like basketball, but you were watching it. So that's what.
That was our band of misfits. You know what I'm saying? Like that was such a fun team to watch. And you had an old Baron Davis. You had nobody wants him right now, Steven Jackson. Like. After the whole Indiana thing, like, come on, dude, like that team shouldn't have gone anywhere.
Let
alone to the playoffs. And so, and even afterwards, the second round against Utah, that was even probably more fun than winning the first round, just because not only did they make it through to the second round, but then they finally believed. You know what I mean? It was the fans pushing them through Series 1, and then they were like, yo, I can't believe we just did this. And then the second round, they thought that they really legit had a chance, and it was really exciting to watch that shit. So but I remember Chuck at that point saying, like, you live by the 3, you die by the 3. And it was a complete, at that point in that day, like that time frame of the NBA, it was true, because that wasn't the style at that point. But for whatever reason, from then till now, it's super transitioned into a shooting match and very little defense. You know what I mean? Like you'll have good defensive sets and good defensive plays, but if you're looking at it overall, there's very little defense played with how many shots are getting put up. So I remember back in the day when we were kids, or you were probably like way younger than me, but like when I was a kid, there was a point in time where you wanted to get your favorite player on a poster, posterizing the next player, right?
Yeah, now it's a crossover.
Correct. No. That was when AI transitioned into it, and Jason Williams. Okay. And then it moved from there till now, where this is the poster. Nobody's even there. So it's just a guy shooting. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's crazy to me to think that it's gone from such physical play to entertainment. You know, and that's basically what it is. It's kind of weird. So again, I'm not taking anything away from anybody. I just think it's interesting.
Right. So coming into this game or this series, Warriors Cavs.
Even I not discredited the Warriors, but even I had my concerns, being like, all right, this time they're complete, the Cavs. So that was my thing. Okay.
So what was your prediction before games 1 and 2?
I never make predictions because I hate jinxing shit. That's my Warriors thing.
Okay. Right.
But I was excited because we just got through one of the hardest things I've ever seen this team face, which was OKC. I mean, that was a rough. That even Curry had said right after that game was done, he was in the locker room. He was like, "Yo, that was hard," and like that's like that was a legit match right there. That both teams laid it out the whole time.
Yeah, you know what's funny? That was really hard.
Yeah.
But watching those games, it was amazing to watch. One of the most thrilling things that I've ever seen, but it didn't look like how Curry described it. Because you said he was in the locker room and he said, wow, that was tough. It kind of just looked like the Warriors were back and they were playing a really good team. I've seen like the Lakers sack series looked hard.
No,
Looked hard.
That's different. What I'm saying was hard was the fact that this team, for whatever reason, because I said this to you in game one, and then when we were watching, even when we were watching the Portland series, I said I hate how this team comes out in the first quarter. It looks like they don't give a fuck.
Right.
It almost looks like they think that they're just like, yo, we can just hold back until the fourth.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the Warriors thing for my entire childhood was we'd play so hard through the first three quarters and we'd lose it in the fourth. Like that's what we were known for. And now it's like they don't have to really play until the fourth. And it's not even the full fourth. They could play like 5 minutes and then sit Curry out because the dude just a flurry of threes. Mm-hmm. It's insane, like how quick that team can go from down 9 to up 15. Like it's nuts. So So for whatever reason, they put themselves in a tough spot by being down 3-1.
Right. What Curry does, and he hasn't yet done it in the finals yet, but he's done it so many times in this playoffs and in the regular season where, like you just said, 9 to 17 or whatever, like these crazy spurts. It's like Jordan's 6 threes where, the game was close, but then Jordan keeps hitting threes, and around the third or fourth three, the Blazers are just kind of like, what the hell? Then the 6-3 happened, and Jordan was like, I don't know. That's like every Curry
night.
flurry. Yeah.
Not even that, but that's every night for the whole league. Damian could do that.
True. Damian has done that.
Sure. Russ did it, and Russ is not even a 3-point shooter. KD's done it. You know what I mean? Like Kyrie could do it. It's crazy. That's the way that the game is played right now. It's so weird. It's like when I was in high school, I get benched for launching up a 3. Even if I was open, I get benched for launching a 3 because that wasn't the way that the game was supposed to be played. But, so it's crazy. It's crazy.
Okay, so after game one, I'd imagine, wow, it looks pretty good right now. And before game one happened, I predicted a 5-game series in the Warriors' favorite, just because you had mentioned that, okay, now the Cavs are complete, but I think they're better without Love, and not necessarily Kyrie. I think he's a gamer. He hasn't quite found his way yet in this series, but he's a gamer for sure. And remember back last year, 2015 finals, that game one Kyrie did play. He contained Curry pretty well. Him and the Delhi tag team really worked on him.
Yeah, I remember as soon as he went down, I was really bummed because for one, I really like Kyrie, and then for two, that's how it right then that felt like, they're win our competition, and that's how I kind of felt like watching tonight's game, where the first quarter was only, again, they kind of start off real lackadaisical. I don't know why. We're in the finals. You should be playing with a sense of urgency every night, but that's 90s ball apparently, and then the next 3 quarters, it's like what happened? It doesn't even feel like there's competition at this point, and that's weird to me because we're talking about LeBron James and a full Cavs squad. Like that should never be in the same kind of like conversation or thought.
What you just said has some truth in it, but at the end of the day, we have to kind of take a step back and remember what we talked about earlier is that, this Warriors team could have, maybe, just maybe, beat that 72-10 Bulls team. So remember, we're talking about a team that is in the history books, literally one of the greatest teams ever. So like, it's kind of funny because we're saying, yeah, why is LeBron getting smacked around like this? But remember, like, his team, okay, nice for this season, 57 games or whatever. But
yeah, but for me, it's not why. It's like I was hoping for a little bit more basketball. I don't know. I don't want to sound like negative. You know what I mean?
Right. We always want to hope for a close game, even when we're watching, Warriors versus Sixers. You're like, oh, if you went to that game, you'd be like, oh, I hope it's a close game. You don't hope for a blowout, really, unless you really hate a team. If you just love basketball, you want a close game. I get that. But again, this Warriors team on paper should be whipping this Cavs team's ass like they are. So really not a surprise on my part. But like you were saying, yeah, I wish it was a little bit more basketball from a basketball fan perspective.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's like I remember when again, going back to the 90s, or even I think this was late, or not late, but early 2000s, the Kings and Warriors, or not Warriors, the Kings and Lakers series, and then the Lakers and Philly series. Game 1 of the Philly series was amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like, from a basketball, and I'm not a fan of either team. I love not Kobe, Iverson. Damn, dude, I'm getting old as fuck, dude. Like, my brain is practically mush.
But it's that concussion, bro, and your pass, bro.
I know, dude. Yeah, so like I was a huge fan of AI, but that team was washed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they gave, in Game 1, LA a run for their money. It was amazing to watch that, just as a fan of the game. And then the rest of it was pretty, like, as you would expect. But the Lakers Kings match was crazy. Like, that one was like a nail biter the whole time. It was nuts.
Right.
That was basketball. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So that was a fun series.
That Lakers Sixers series. So for the people watching and weren't around during this time, the Allen Iverson phenomenon was
huge.
Almost like a cult. It was almost like a cult. Mm-hmm. Like, this dude. And I was actually thinking about this. I was talking to some of my friends, and I said, you know why I think basketball is the best is because it's not just a sport. Baseball is just a sport. Football, to a certain extent, just a sport. But basketball, it's kind of like basketball and hip hop had this marriage, whether David Stern liked it or not. Yeah, basketball and hip hop, right? Basketball and hip hop. And remember, back when the Allen Iverson thing was going, hip hop was popping too. It was starting more white people were listening to hip hop, right? Mm-hmm. You had the Eminem thing, right around this time, and it was just like this era was when everyone started to love hip hop. So then Allen Iverson comes on the scene, and he's like, yo, I'm hip hop and I ball. And so that's why I think basketball is the best, is because no other sport really has another, culture to match with it. You know what I mean? Like, basketball and hip hop, that's like synonymous with each other. Mm-hmm. And so that Lakers and Sixers series, I was a Laker fan through and through, bleed purple and gold, but I was in the Allen Iverson cult 100%. Visors, sweatbands, all of that stuff,
I didn't rock any of that stuff because I was white, but I just didn't feel like that's not me. But
I wore half of it because I'm half white.
Yeah, but the mentality that he had on court, that's how I still play, even though I can't move like that. You know what I mean? Where you get a concussion and you keep going. Like, that's the style. That's the mentality. That's the way that the game back when I was a kid was played. Real street, real playground.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It was all heart. You know what I'm saying? So somebody that is 6 foot, or what was he listed as? 6'1"?
6'1", but he's really like maybe 6 foot. The sneakers helped. The questions helped. The questions helped.
Definitely the questions helped. That added at least an inch. That was his 1 inch right there, because he was at least 6 feet. But that dude was the tiniest dude out on the floor. He would go up against, drive in the lane, against a monster with Shaq. That guy, I don't think people realize how big he is. The
Shaq.
the guy's huge. You know what I mean?
And he knew how to use his body.
Dude, you're about my size. Have you ever been hit or just run into a big guy? Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
you know what happens. You bounce right off them.
the big, not 7 feet, but like probably as wide as Shaq. This Samoan dude knocked me on my ass when we were playing rugby in high school. And you know how Samoans do.
Yeah, no, I've been nailed plenty of times. We have a fairly decent sized Samoan community here in the Bay Area. Well, in the Bay Area, we got a community of everything. But over at 24 in San Jose, I played against a bunch of them, and I mean, I ran into one of them. He was the smaller of the bunch, and I literally felt like I got hit by a brick.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, and so to be somebody that small and play with that much heart and all the time, injured or not, like you don't see that in the game today. Like seeing Love go out, like the guy just walk off the court, like you didn't even finish the play. You know, like that kind of
that bothered me. Like, that bothered me because
the play, then sit out.
Yeah, no, because like 2 minutes later he got the ball and nailed the corner 3 and he looked perfectly fine. And you know, the old street ball saying is that the ball is the best medicine, because whenever you fucking touch the ball after you act like you roll your ankle, you're doing ab steps and all that BS, and you're like, yo, why were you embellishing 2 minutes ago? That happens all the time in pickup. But yeah, no, that bothers me. But again, I think that he didn't come back to the game because the NBA said so. I think he would have still been playing. Back then there wasn't a concussion protocol like there is now, but it was unacceptable how he looked like he died on the play. That's a real Paul Pierce.
Like, yeah, I literally just went through my own concussion on Thursday, and I got hit so hard that fluid came out my nose, and the doctors thought that like I had to like go and speak with all of the doctors because they thought that it could be the spinal fluid back here, and like you know what I mean, and that's like a death sentence. So I got hit so hard that crap came out. I blew it all out until it stopped, and then I played the rest of the night, and then that night I was like, yo, I got hit really hard. You know what I mean? like
concussions only hurt when you're sleepy, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
Sometimes a concussion sucks so bad you become sleepy, but like the regular ones, it's like once you like stop doing whatever you're doing, then you're screwed. Yeah,
like this one, after impact, I had gotten blurred vision and my knees went wonky, and that happened the last time I got a concussion, and then I kept playing. And then the doctors, like, I was even scared to go to sleep that night, being like, man, I'm just going to stay up as long as I can. So I did.
Don't go to sleep if you have a concussion, kids, yo.
So, you know what I mean? And then the next couple of days, like today, I wasn't even supposed to play basketball. And I just wanted to shoot around a little bit. And my wife was like, yo, if somebody asks you to play, don't say sure.
Here's the old school thing. This is an old school thing.
I wound up in a basketball game.
You always go, if you have an injury, whatever injury it is, your thumb, your hand, your wrist, your back, your knee, your concussion, you always go, yeah, I'm just gonna take it easy, you know, whatever. You get there, you never take it easy, never.
No, the guys asked me, we were all just shooting around. It was just a whole bunch of people. We were all just shooting around, and all of a sudden one kid said, hey, we should just play a real game. And like in my head, I was like, don't ask me to play. Don't ask me to play. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, you want to play? I was like, sure. And that was it.
That's how it is. Yeah. So talking about this toughness thing and this old school ball, and the Kevin Love embellishing and the J.R. Smith embellishing, and we've seen LeBron embellish and all of this stuff. What are your thoughts on people saying that Curry isn't tough? Because I think that he doesn't look tough, and of course he's 6'3", you know, a $185 or whatever he is. It's only fact, right? But remember, in that OKC regular season game, the homie sprained his ankle hard. Remember that? Yeah. And then he came back to hit that shot, and then, you know, he did strain his knee. He played through it. He came back probably a game too early, and the dude gets knocked on his ass a lot, and he doesn't lay on the ground.
That's what I'm gonna say. So I think that people, if you have a small guy on the court, okay, immediately they're tough, because this is the game or the land of giants. Okay, I don't care what anybody says, and you have a small player on the court, all right, constantly getting knocked around. Just even the smallest little dink or elbow while you're going in the lane, somebody's sticking a knee out in your fucking groin and shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, these guys' knees are like at your fucking waist. Like, it's all kinds of messed up. And a smaller player might not be physical in the sense that they're not going to be like beastly. You know what I mean? Like, they're not gonna post up. They're not gonna man you up on the block. They're not gonna box you out half the time. None of that shit. Half the time, Curry's pulling down rebounds. You don't even see his ass in there. He's so small. You know,
Yeah,
and
he
you're
had like a ton of rebounds, 10 rebounds, I think.
And that's after injury. And I'm like, why are you fucking in there? Get the fuck out of the. Right. You know what I mean? And that's a small man mentality where you can't help it. You are already tough because you're small. You're the smallest one getting the most checks. Right. So, you know, and people that are saying this are either players or not players, but people that never played the game.
Right.
Or they're big.
Right.
Period. Like, that's the only. You'll never hear a smaller player being like, "Yeah, small guys are pussies."
No,
because it doesn't happen.
No. Yeah, and some of the feistiest guys. If you guys don't know this name, he wasn't a big star, and I'm not saying that he was a great player, but small guy, probably the feistiest small dude I've ever seen. Earl Boykins. Mm-hmm. Dude would fight you straight up, and I think he actually like got into a fight into a club one time, and this dude was 5'5", I think. Earl Boykins, look that guy up. But yeah, small guys are usually feisty. Not all of them.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, that's just a personality trait. You know what I mean? Like Mark Jackson, feisty. New Yorker though.
John Stockton,
feisty. You know what I'm saying? Curry. Rich kid, he's not feisty. Like, no. He's tough. Like, he's mentally tough. He's able to take it, but he's not feisty. You know, right. Klay, same thing. Like, he's tough, but he's not like mean tough. You know, he's not street tough.
Right. Do you ever get the feeling when you watch Klay Thompson? You know how there was that one dude at your school who was like this rich kid, but he was good at whatever particular skill he was. In this case, basketball for Klay, and then he would try to hype himself up and like try to be like the rest of the basketball team, but he just kind of looks weird when he's hyping himself up. That's the way I look at Klay, because he's a rich kid.
Klay's super reserved.
Yeah, but when he goes like, "Woo," it just looks off.
But in his head, he's Kobe.
Oh yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where like you have quiet, but inside he's a monster. He's not allowed to not able to bring it out, you know what I mean, like comfortably, whereas Kobe, I mean, he's not a poor kid either. He was a rich kid also, you know what I mean. Coming from a ex-player's background and everything, or his parents or his dad and all that stuff, and Kobe had swagger to him, you know what I mean. So it's all a personality thing. Some people are really introverted, some people are really extroverted. It just depends.
Who's the best shooting guard in the league right now? Is it Klay?
You'd have to give me a list of shooting guards, because I'm going to say no. He's probably one of the best defending shooting guards.
James Harden, Jimmy Butler, and Klay Thompson would probably be the top 3 shooting guards. It's funny because back at 5 years ago, shooting guard was like one of the strongest positions. You know, Kobe. But now it's like weaker.
That's the Jordan. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, I get the only thing that I like with Klay, where he does this better than most, is that, and people don't give him credit for this. I think we talked about this already, or privately, but you don't know how hard it is to defend somebody, lock them down, and then come back and still have enough legs to shoot. As a shooter, right, you know, like it's when you're on the court and you're a shooter, like you're gonna need to pick one. So for me, I'll personally like lax on D half the time because I want to make sure that my legs are good for the offensive end. You know, I'll give you your 2 because I'm going to get 3. But for games like when we'd play league, it was, you know, lock down D as much as possible as you can, and then you still got to come with it with the shot too. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? Like, you can't half-ass it. It's different than like a pickup game or something. So, so yeah. So it's just, I don't think people give Klay enough credit for that.
No, I think he's the best.
It's real rough to do that.
Yeah, no, I think he's the best shooting guard in the league right now. And Bernard543 in the chat says, imagine if Klay had Harden-like handles. And it's like, it doesn't mean he's a bad dribbler, but he's just not like a shot creator. He doesn't need to do that, right? So he doesn't need to practice that as well. But, I think if he was thrown in that situation, I have no doubt in my mind he could be just as good, or not just as good as Harden, but, at a good level, an all-star level at least. But to me, I think Klay is the best shooting guard in the league. I think he solidified that with his Game 6 performance, literally being the alpha dog on that squad, saying, we're not losing this game. We're not.
And you have to understand where Klay comes from. Klay's from a screen and shoot style of play, where he's coming off of a screen. So he's not an attack mode. He's actually not athletic, like, for how big he is. Like, he's quick and he can shoot, but he's no Kobe. Like, he's not going to get up there and do 360 windmills or under the leg. Like, he can't do that. So
but he's 6'8", and he knows how to use that length, which is what we talked about earlier, in the skill, knowing how to use what you got. And
that goes for every player. You can tell me that you haven't been on the court with some old ass motherfucker and that dude's like wrecking shit. Not wrecking shit as far as like just being like completely dominant, being like, oh, I'm going to cross everybody over and shit. But that dude's getting his buckets his way. And you're like, how does this what? Yeah, you know what I mean? Everybody's got one at the gym and you know it. And it's because that dude knows how to play. He knows how to do what he does, and he does it well. Right. So anybody that's got a skill set is always valuable on a team. If you're just a good shooter, guess what? You belong there. That's where you got a JJ Redick or whatever on your team. You got one just in case. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, I think that, again, people constantly – I think this is funny because you see this a lot on Twitter, but I don't like Twitter because of this shit. But you see a lot of people talking that don't know, like, firsthand. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of critics that – like if I was going to critique a movie, but I don't make a movie. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or if I'm going to critique someone's acting chops, but I don't act. So how are you going to criticize somebody's hooping skills if you don't hoop?
With that being said, how is Megan Fox as April O'Neil? I'm just kidding. That's a trap question.
She doesn't talk. She looks good, I guess. But
okay, so we talked about Steph. We talked about Klay. Let's talk about the next two guys. First, let's finish off the Warriors with Draymond Green. Now, he's in a bit of controversy. We all know what he did last series. He almost kicked Kyrie in game 1. This game, he didn't have to get physical, but the dude was balling. Mainly, he didn't have to get physical because it was a blowout, a rollover performance by the Cavs. But Draymond, okay, I want to get your take. I haven't talked to you about this. Yes or no? Did he intentionally kick Steven Adams in the balls?
Personally, I don't think so. Just because I've seen him do, and that leg goes up every time. I think that Steven Adams' balls are in the wrong spot. So they're at the wrong place at the wrong time.
I thought he meant to kick. I thought he knew he was there, but I don't think he knew he would make direct contact to his balls. And you know what? Looking at the slow-mo, it looks like he got upper 5 and maybe shaft, but not balls.
I don't know.
I don't know how low I don't know how low the fruit's hanging on Steven Adams, but I'm telling you, I've seen direct contact to the balls. If you've seen Jackass, that's direct contact.
I've taken hits like that back in high school. This was an actual game. The team that we were playing against, their best player, he was like super tall and lanky. He had a real big foot. Went up for a rebound. Somehow got his foot to where, like, I thought that my nuts were going to come out my throat. It hurt so bad. And I was so pissed. Whether or not he did it on purpose or not didn't matter. The next play, I clotheslined him in the middle of the game, got ejected, just because it hurt so bad. So, and that's where I think this comes in, where, like, it's like, oh, he got kicked in the nuts twice or whatever. You got to look back, like Kobe kicks. You know what I mean?
Kobe kicked, Bruce Bowen kicked. Kobe used to do this, right, where he went up and then he
with the leg sweep. Oh yeah,
like that. And he used to hit dudes in the nose all the time. And he actually got fined like twice for that. The NBA kept warning him. But here's the thing. I went on this huge rant on Instagram where people were just dogging Draymond, and I was just showing examples of previous cases, Kobe kicking, the Jordan rules, where it looked like Mark Aguirre straight nailed Jordan in the balls. And I'm like, listen, this is what we want to see. The only reason why gladiators don't exist anymore is because people got soft and people don't want to see other people die. But remember back when the gladiators were famous, people wanted to see, people rip each other's hearts out. And we say that as like a euphemism now. A lot of ESPN people say, yeah, Jordan ripped the jugular of all of his opponents. Not literally, but figuratively speaking, that's what happened. And we want to see these guys compete. So look, if a guy gets hit in the balls because Draymond's being competitive, that's hella entertaining to watch. Am I right?
Well, just take away the entertainment fact. Like, that was the best series we've had in the playoffs.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was two really good teams going at each other. And that's what basketball is. Like, like you come there to win. So whether you're the first seed or you're the 8th seed, like, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, you're all on the equal playing field. Playoff starts, it's all scratch. Like, everything that you did during the regular season, 0-0.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
and Draymond's dirty. I mean, and that's fine.
Look,
that's fine. That's fine.
I don't think that there are a ton of dirty plays intentionally anymore. I think that just these guys do what they do. Sometimes they get called for it, sometimes they don't. Draymond's leg is almost always up.
Right. But like Westbrook kicks all the time too.
There's a ton of guys that kick.
His are more, and Reggie Miller used to do it, but Westbrook's kicks are probably some of the most erratic things that I've ever seen. It just kind of comes out of nowhere. But look,
that's how I feel about Westbrook sometimes in general. But
well, yeah, for sure. But look, I mean, it's fine to be dirty. There's a lot of players we love to get dirty. John Stockton was a dirty little guy. Dennis Rodman used to kick.
Was a genius. What are you talking about?
that's that white people protecting white people.
That fool was smart.
But Draymond, Dennis Rodman kicked the cameraman. Dennis Rodman straight wrestled Karl Malone, both in the ring and on the hardwood, if you remember that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. So if we're calling on dirt, those two were dirty players with each other.
Right. Bruce Bowen was dirty. Rajah Bell was dirty. Remember when he clotheslined Kobe?
Actually, the play where Draymond threw his own face on the floor, that was Draymond trying to play off. That was a dirty play, and Draymond ate it for it because you were being an idiot.
Right, when he pulled down Adams.
Yeah.
That was so funny. He tried to RKO, but he did it to himself. It was hilarious.
And I was like, you're a fucking dumbass, dude. Yeah. Like, granted, Adams hit him with the bow first, which is what initiated the whole thing. But still, like, what are you doing, dude? Like, just play basketball. And go on.
Right. And look, I rather see like these guys go at each other than what Ron Artest did in the Malice at the Palace, right? I remember watching that live and being like scared, and I was 5,000 miles away.
That was crazy.
Right. So there's a difference
that was legit insanity.
Yeah, there's like dirty, and then there's like insanity, right?
Yeah.
Like for a second, I'm not trying to make light of this situation, but I mean, your daughter's scared of the Joker. I was scared of Ron Artest. That's something the Joker would do, right? Like he would just straight up go up there.
I still think Ron Artest is crazy. The guy changed his name to Meta World Peace, bro.
Well, it's Panda Friend now.
What? Like he changed it legally?
Panda Friend.
That's what I'm saying. You can't consider yourself sane.
Right.
Like what happened to him as a child?
Queensbridge
to make that happen.
Queensbridge. I mean, that's the thing. Okay, so
I don't know.
We talked about the Warriors guys. Let's talk about the Cavs and LeBron James. So Jerry West just recently came out, and Jerry West kind of has ties to the Warriors. He's like a president or something. He basically does nothing and get paid for it, but he used to like actually run the team. I'm not saying that he's not a good man.
He was the one behind getting rid of Monta.
Getting rid of what?
of Monta, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. And he helped draft Klay and stuff like this, but now he just sits on his ass. But he's old, that's fine. He's a good basketball mind. The things he did in Memphis were good. The Lakers, he got Shaq, obviously. But he just came out recently and he said it's ridiculous for us to criticize LeBron's finals record, which currently sits at 2-4. Most likely will be 2-5 by the time this series is over.
Don't jinx it. Come on, man.
That's just classic phrasing. But look, do you agree with that statement?
About not being able to criticize?
He says it's ridiculous to criticize LeBron's finals record.
I think if you're not a player, it's ridiculous to criticize the record. If you are a player, you know what I mean? So, and I'll stand by that the whole time. I don't critique rap because I don't rap. I'm not hip hop. You know what I mean? So,
right, but
unless
see,
you can do it. Like,
right.
or you have firsthand experience. So as a basketball player, the record it's not impressive. You know what I mean? If anything, you can consider that, like, if you were going to have it be like a movie analogy or whatever, where you have like opening weekend, BVS, #1, and then all of a sudden, boom, plateaus. That's kind of like LeBron's finals career, which is a bummer because he's one of the greatest to play the game right now, right? So in that sense, I understand it. But a lot of the people critiquing it are people that don't have any business doing it.
Okay, so with that being said, what would Shaq say? If I asked him that question, what would Shaq say? What if I said, "Hey Shaq, what do you think about what Jerry West said about not being able to it's ridiculous"?
If I remember correctly, Shaq was unable to help LeBron out in Cleveland.
Oh, come on. Shaq was so old and fat.
Still, he was unable to do it.
Look, I get what you're saying about not being able to critique if you're not doing it, but part of sports would be nothing without the fans. In fact, basketball, the NBA almost went bankrupt because people. So as fans, we compare and all of this, stuff. And I get it. We couldn't last 2 minutes on a basketball court in the NBA. But with that being said, the name of the game is to win. And yes, the NBA does,
and that's what I mean, though. In that sense, I understand it. So at the same time, I believe that West understands it from a firsthand experience. So, because I don't think he was very successful in the finals either.
No, he was one of 8, which is why I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
What would Shaq, what would Jordan, what would Kobe say about this situation? They would be like, yeah, it does make sense to critique it because the name of the game is to win. And
that's exactly what I'm saying, though, is that all those guys have firsthand experiences. So the one guy that has a similar experience to LeBron is defending LeBron because the guy knows how it feels to suck. So,
but again, I'm just afraid that the new generation, the younger kids, my kid, if I, God bless if I have one, your kid, Bubba, he might grow up thinking winning is not important. Remember when I told you my youth league where I grew up, now they don't keep score. They don't keep score.
That's the way of America right now, dude.
No, I know, but
that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not going to roll over.
And it's because of people like this, though. Yeah, So this is me playing devil's advocate, where at one hand you shouldn't say shit unless you know it, but on the second, like, it is important to win. You know what I mean? Like, you don't compete for no reason.
Right. Isaiah Thomas has a saying: "There's only one way to play, and that's to win." And
well, that's what I'm saying. Like, me and you go 1-on-1, even if we're friends, one of us is going to win, and both of us want to win.
Yeah, let's play 1-on-1 without keeping the score then. How about that?
Well, I have a hard time keeping track of the score anyways because I don't fucking count the buckets.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's how I play, but it's not because I don't want to win. It's just because I'm not thinking about it.
All right. So I have a question. I've been asking all of my friends this, and they love this question. They think it's a good one.
Okay.
That's a humble brag.
Yeah, right.
So as I said earlier, sports is nothing without the fans, and the fans kind of the fans are ultimately the ones that put athletes on the pedestal. Remember Mia Hamm? She was like the best soccer lady player ever. Okay, yeah, but she wasn't as popular as Kobe or Jordan, right? So how do the athletes get to that pedestal is that the fans kind of make up this criteria. Okay, you want to be the best, this is what you have to do, this is what you can't do. So like losing, you can't do that, you got to get a ring, blah blah blah, all of this stuff. You want to be in a Hall of Fame, you got to get to the finals at least once. All of this BS criteria that, depending on the way you look at it, makes sense or doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To me, playing by those rules, if you want to be the greatest ever, you have to me, I'm like, okay, at least 6 rings, Jordan.
Oh, like if you want to be considered the greatest ball player of all time,
you have to have some type of dominant finals record, whether that's 6-0 or 7-2, which or 7-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Jordan right now is 6-0, 6 finals MVPs. We know Curry has 1 ring, might get 2, might not even get this finals MVP. But I have a question.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, right? It's crazy. But I have a question. If Curry only wins 4 rings in an entire career at the end of the day, but still, top 5 in scoring, top, 10 in assists, puts up the good numbers, right? That Kobe put up, Jordan, LeBron, Oscar, Magic, all these guys put up. He's top 10 in these categories, but only wins 4 rings. But those 4 rings were straight.
Like back-to-backs?
Back to back to back to back. Could you consider?
When was the last time somebody exceeded a 3-peat?
No, I don't. I think
Bill Russell. Yeah,
was the only one.
Then, and that was a long time ago.
Right.
Besides then, I mean, we're talking. That's an impossible probability.
Exactly. So if that happens,
if that were to happen, I think that he could be in the conversation.
So that would mean top 3, because to me the 2 best players,
top 3 players of all time.
To me, if you won 4 straight in this day and age NBA, because I think
don't know, because I don't know about that, because if we're looking at the matchups, the series themselves, for whatever reason, the whole team excels during this time. Like they all get hyped. Draymond, Livingston, Barbosa, all of them.
But I think 3-peating in this day in the NBA is a thing of the past. The last team to do it were the Lakers, and the team before that were the Bulls. The team before the Bulls were the Bulls, and the team before the Bulls were the Lakers. I'm just saying the team before that were the Celtics. So it's so hard. And in this day and age, even though LeBron went to 6 straight, he couldn't even get 1 3-peat. I think it's impossible. If Curry got 4 straight, which I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think only Bill Russell have done.
Yeah, I don't even think that's possible. So.
Right. But this is a hypothetical. Hypotheticals are never possible. But I think top 3, because the 2 best players ever to play the game, in my opinion. I'm not talking about impact on the league and society, just the players in the game.
So who are your top 2 right now?
Without a doubt in my mind,
you would Jordan third.
Jordan, Magic. Those are my Magic. What Magic did.
So you're saying that you would pick Curry?
No, I'm saying he would. Yes, because
if they win a 4
in a row,
you would for real pick Curry over Shaq. And as far as
Shaq isn't even my best center of all time, you know that.
And I think that you're crazy for that.
Really, Hakeem Olajuwon?
I think that Hakeem Olajuwon is amazing, but I think that Shaq is the most dominant force the league has ever seen.
And Hakeem whipped his ass.
Look, that was one series. Okay.
Yeah, but it was pretty dominant. Shaq was young. Shaq was young, but I get it.
Yeah, but that was one series. We're not talking about what happened with Shaq afterwards.
Right. Okay, so
all right.
So you would put Shaq top 3, is what you're saying?
I would for sure have him in top 5. I don't know what my top 3 would be right now. I just know that Jordan is number one.
I see someone says MJ, Kobe, LeBron. Such blasphemy that you don't put Magic
Kobe,
in there.
LeBron. Yeah, no.
Magic, dude.
That's the thing is that as soon as you said Magic, I couldn't not say okay. Like you have to at least consider it. You know what I mean?
Magic played center in a finals game and won the championship.
Magic played all 5 fucking positions, dude.
Exactly. And he was just he's the reason why the NBA is so like him and Bird revived the NBA.
Oh, definitely. But like him, Magic did things that still to this day nobody's done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the guy is incredible. He was the first big man that played point.
Oh, yes. The first.
You know what I'm saying?
He was just, and it wasn't even like, oh, he's a big man playing point guard. He was a legit point guard. Okay. He just so happened to be
the guy. Look, the guy's name wasn't Magic for no reason. The dude did shit with the ball where you're like, yo, what? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is back in the 80s, dude.
Right.
This is before Iverson. This is before White Chocolate. This is before street ball was introduced in or kind of like made its way sort of into the league. This is before hip hop had its fingers on it. This is before Biggie and Tupac. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like,
this is before all that. He was first. He was before Penny. Everything. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, Penny tried to do what Magic did. And here's the thing.
With Penny, all that No. Penny did what Magic could do as a point guard, but Penny could not play.
Well said.
Penny could not play all 5 positions.
Couldn't have said it better myself. But all that being said, how much Magic was incredible, guess what? Didn't win 4 straight, which is why in this hypothetical, I would say, wow.
Yes, but then that's when you turn it back around and say, that's impossible.
That's true. That's
impossible.
That's true. But I'm just look, what Curry has done these past 2 seasons is both being overblown while at the same time being underrated. And I think if you just put a pin right in the middle of the people overdoing it and the people underappreciating it, put a pin right in the middle, to me, it's still one of the greatest things that I've ever seen watching this game of basketball. Iverson did something very similar, but again, he didn't have the rings to do it. And I know his team wasn't as good, but look, that's not my fault, and we shouldn't knock Curry for that.
Yeah, no, that's kind of like that whole Iverson situation is where I feel LeBron's kind of stuck in right now. You know, like LeBron for sure within his first few years in Cleveland. And then that's kind of where it's at now, unfortunately, even with better talent around him, like much better talent. And he's still like just kind of like stuck in this weird limbo of only finals. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's weird.
But even then, AI didn't have as many haters as I think LeBron did.
Well, as far as from fans, no, but from, you know, where it counted, which was in the professional side of the game, fuck yeah, he did.
Oh, of course, but that was only because that was a weird time in the NBA where, again, like I said earlier, the hip hop thing was kind of taking over, the dress code and all of that.
Well, stuff. No, that's what I mean though. Yeah. Like if we're talking like superior whitewashing of things, like that was like an all-time high right there, where like they tried to really cleanse the league, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like that was so dumb, dude. Like that shit was so lame. Bagging on this kid because of the way he wore his hair, the tattoos, the clothes, what was it? Him being late for practice. Like it's just, I mean, come on, dude. Like the kid threw it all out there. He's not even a kid. The guy's older than me. But at that point in his career, he was putting it all out on the floor. He did things that, you know, you wouldn't show up to practice one day, you come and then you whoop everybody's ass. Leading scorer and assists. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Steals, everything. Like you can't. The way that the league treated players back then was atrocious, and that's where the Players Association comes into things now, the Players Union. So, you know, but now at the same time, I feel like now the players and the front offices are kind of like just trying to make money at this point. Instead of back then, it was like all of these guys are just trying to get themselves out of the hood. They're trying to make money, but also they want to play ball. That's what they want to do. They want to hoop. You know what I mean? The dude even went overseas.
So who would you put on your NBA Mount Rushmore? So the idea of an NBA Mount Rushmore isn't the four, because there's 4 guys on the Mount Rushmore, if I remember correctly. There probably will be 5. They're probably at Obama up there. But the idea of a Mount Rushmore for the NBA isn't the best players to play basketball. It's just the most influential players, right? Because the 4 presidents were just they were the most influential, right? Which is probably why Obama would be on there, because
yeah, but if we're talking about influential, then nobody from past Jordan's era would even make it on the list.
Well,
if we're talking about influence, because everybody before then influenced everybody that came after. That's
fine, because look at the Mount Rushmore now. They're all like old dudes. Like,
true.
I think they're new, like, you know what I mean? So here's my Mount Rushmore. Obviously Jordan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm putting Magic because homie saved the league, and I'm probably putting Bird because Magic, for as much as Magic did, Bird was part of it, and for as much as Bird did, Magic was part of it, right? Their rivalry worked together. Then the 4th guy is Bill Russell. He broke so many barriers. He was a player, coach, and African-American at that, at a time where the civil rights movement was at its highest, most delicate time ever. So that's why I would have him, and plus 11 rings, the ultimate teammate, which if you want to promote team basketball as a team sport, I think you can't leave Bill Russell off of it. What do you think about those 4 guys?
I would try to fit Dr. J in there too.
Okay, so I was getting to because I saw a couple of comments about Dr. J. I'm just concerned that having an afro as a rock statue might be a little hard, but it would be great to see.
There would be less chiseling involved.
True, but no, Dr. J is great. But I think
did you say MJ Dr. Dre, or did you say Dr. J?
Dr. J. I did say Dr. Dre. Definitely not on the NBA Mount Rushmore, but Dr. J was
2000.
Right, he was great, but you could argue Jordan was just kind of like Dr. J was the originator, Jordan was the perfectionist, right? So whatever Dr. Dre did, or oh my God, Dr. J, Dr. J did, Jordan just honestly did it better, in my opinion, which is why there's no room for Dr. J because Jordan's up there. Because remember,
man,
he's Magic and Dr. Dre.
You just did it again.
Did it?
Yep.
Dr. J and Magic were Jordan's favorite players, right? So
that's what I'm saying when you're talking about Mount Rushmore and it being based off of influence.
Right, but have you ever owned a Dr. J sneaker?
I wasn't alive back then.
Were you? What year were you born, if you don't mind me asking?
83, bro. Like, what the?
Okay, 83.
Yeah.
Okay, so you technically could have had the Jordan 1s, but you were so young.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, we're talking about Sky Jordans. If anybody knows what that is.
Right. So, okay, so no, I get it. My Mount Rushmore doesn't have Dr. J, but okay, you convinced me. That's a pretty good pick. So,
yeah, we said, I think he went from ABA to NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's one of the OGs. Like you gotta at least consider.
No, yeah, he's an OG for sure. But how about this?
And
so
he won championships in both leagues, didn't he?
I'm not.
Maybe
he won one championship in the NBA with more.
Maybe he didn't. Because that dude was known for kind of the LeBron syndrome, being so good.
Yeah.
But yet you cannot achieve your goal.
Okay, so remember how I said earlier they'll probably put Obama on the Mount Rushmore because he really did. He was the first African American president, obviously, without going.
And about that, do you add on or do you subtract one?
That's what I'm. No, you add on. You add on. There's room on that right side. There's room on that right side.
So with that being a possibility, pick a 5.
Right. Exactly. So I'm asking, considering. Because we don't know Curry's legacy yet. But
Do you think that he would ever be on there? Is that the question?
I'm saying that he's revolutionizing the game because
Yeah, but
it's naive to think not.
one. Yeah, but there's been one per generation though. There's not enough spots for that. So
Right, but he's changing the way
Iverson revolutionized the game back then too.
Right, but Iverson didn't change the way teams play defense. Iverson changed the way people play basketball because now it's crossovers and little guys can get into the paint now. Before, it was like a scary thing if you were 6 foot to get into the paint. Like B.J. Armstrong never went to the paint; he just shot threes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Spud Webb though.
It's right, exactly. So the only time Spud Webb dunked, look up Spud Webb game dunk. You won't find one.
Yeah, it was in the dunk contest.
Yeah, but Curry's playing not only the way
Isaiah Thomas was
he
was the Iverson before Iverson.
Right. So Curry's not only changing the way kids are playing the games. Now you go to your local gym, they're pulling up threes off the dribble were never allowed. But he's playing the way basketball minds, coaches, players, scouts, these people who their life is basketball. He's changing the way they think, which is why I think he's revolutionary.
No, and I understand that, and I agree with that statement. I just don't know if I would put him. You know what I mean? It's too soon. It's too soon.
It's too soon, which is why it's
way too soon. Because I mean, if we're talking about the same situation, we could have had the same exact conversation about Penny. I'm sure that there was conversations just like this about him, and then he went down. Grant Hill too. I mean, we're talking about potential. Any of these guys got the potential.
The thing about Penny though, and I think it's interesting, is that he had Shaq, and they were kind of like 1A, 1B. It wasn't like 1 and 2. Whereas Curry, it's like he's the 1 on his team, and then there's like really good 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, still, it's just I still feel like there's potential, and who knows what's going to happen. So,
right. Oh yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I just wouldn't want to put especially because I feel like that's how LeBron's in the situation that he's in now, is that the potential that he had was put on him when he was a kid.
Well, he had the chosen one tattooed to his body.
I know. Look, I know he
put that upon himself.
I know that he put a lot of this on himself, but I'm just saying though, is that why would you want to do the same thing? Like, let Curry be Curry, not to you, but just in general. You know what I mean? Like, if he's changing the game, which he clearly is, then let him do it. Let's see what happens.
Right.
I think that's part of the fun.
I think that the reason why LeBron gets so much hate is because, again, he tattooed the chosen one to his body.
Mm-hmm.
He called himself the king.
Mm-hmm.
Nike asked him, "Hey, can you not wear number 23?" And he said,
"Wait, Nike did that?"
Nike asked him in his rookie year,
"Really?
Would you consider? We just gave you this $90 million contract. Would you consider not wearing number 23?" And he said no. So yeah, look, that's why I think he has a lot of this hate. So
I'm not a fan of the guy on or off the court. But I don't hate him either. So
right. So talking about that 5th head on Mount Rushmore for the NBA, I think the next one in line would probably be Iverson, because he was that influential. And he did make basketball more than just a sport. He made the NBA more than just basketball.
Yeah, it took long enough for him just to get the Hall of Fame nod, Well,
he's first ballot, I think.
No, I'm just saying, it took a long time, to me, in my opinion, to be in that conversation. Or is there a certain time frame that you're supposed to wait?
You have to wait 5 years, and then you get onto the ballot. And he from the time he retired, because remember, he didn't officially retire.
Yeah, no, I know
the longest time.
That's what I was asking.
So him and Shaq are first ballot.
Okay, that's those two though, totally deserving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you can't even argue it. I'd like to see somebody try like that.
Yeah, no,
that would be like stupidity at its finest.
Right.
So,
I mean, so like that 5th head on Mount Rushmore, I think it'd be like, wow, Iverson's up there, because the idea behind a Mount Rushmore is like, it would never happen. But the idea is like you go to the park and your young kid, sees these 4 or 5 heads and goes, why are they there? What did these guys do? And you look at Magic and Bird and you say those 2 guys were rivals, but they ended up becoming friends, and they tried to rip each other's hearts out, and they revolutionized the game, and they won. They won all the time. You look at Bill Russell, 11 championships. He broke barriers, all that stuff I said earlier. Then you look at Jordan. He's the best basketball player ever. Then, theoretically, you look at Iverson and be like, you know what? Iverson, he made basketball like more than a sport. He made it kind of like a lifestyle. Like, like, hey, like anyone could be a basketball player, and and he crossed Jordan. So,
hey, you can't go wrong with that. I remember that game. That shit was crazy.
Oh yeah, legendary moment. Okay. So to wrap things up, Warriors, Cavaliers. I know you don't like making predictions, but you got to give me a percentage. So 1%, 100%.
Okay.
Potential of a sweep. What do you think?
I was thinking that while watching this game, where it was like, yo, is this really going to happen? But I will give Cleveland 1 game in Cleveland.
Okay.
And then I'm hoping that they can come home and win the ring here this time instead of in Cleveland. Because that would be cool for the home team.
Okay. Quickly before we
if we make it through the finals.
Right. Quickly. For the chat room, where I'm gonna ask just a few more questions. We'll talk about it, and then we'll do a chat room question. So get your questions in right now. I'm gonna get to the chat room right now. So get your questions in. Let me ask Nightwing a couple more questions. Okay, so a lot of people want to know. In my last live stream, people were asking, does LeBron leave if the Cavs lose in a less than desirable fashion? What do you think?
That's the same thing for me as like, will we sweep them? It's kind of like a 50-50. Like there's signs of things
50-50 that he'll leave Cleveland.
No, I don't want him to leave Cleveland. No,
of course, but do you, on your percentage, any outcome?
The guy did it before. Like, what's stopping him to do it again? Like,
well, he, making the same mistake twice. That's the difference.
I guess
he knows what happens now. He didn't know what would happen back then.
You could have guessed, though.
Yeah, but he was naive.
You know what I mean?
He's not as naive anymore.
I guess I would like to see him stay.
I think there's a 0% chance he leaves. I think that if the Cavs
so what we were talking about off of this a while back during the game was that you said that everybody else would go before he goes.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like with you on that, where, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like LeBron would be like, okay, we gave this a shot. I'm LeBron. I'm the best player. Who doesn't want to play with me? Hey, CP3, we're going to trade for you.
Yeah, so I'm surprised something like that hasn't already like been like in the news or whatever. You know what I mean? So
right,
because as soon as that shit with OKC was done, all of a sudden you heard everybody's texting them being like, yo, there's a spot open here. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of weird. So I'm surprised that we haven't heard anything yet on something like that, where I think there's been like rumors. I don't know if they've been confirmed or not, where Kyrie and LeBron don't get along or this, that, and the other. I don't know. So
when there's more than one occasion that comes up where one person might not like another person, it's probably true. But the problem is that they were winning, so kind of masked. But yeah, I think Kyrie and LeBron might not get along. Kyrie and Love, or Love and LeBron, I don't know. But what I do know is that I think LeBron wouldn't leave again, and he would just reload. Why would he leave why would he leave to a situation to play with like Chris Paul when he could just get Chris Paul there?
That's the thing, though, is that's where I feel it should have, or that's where I feel it should go this time instead of, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because
where he goes somewhere else.
Right, because last time it was like, it might just be like, yeah, Cleveland's in the shit, like we can't do anything. So he goes and wins. Now people know LeBron can actually win. And I think the whole thing of a city can't win a championship is so like dumb. You know what I
Is
mean?
that really a thing?
No,
Lots of people say that.
Milwaukee has won championships.
No, I mean, like, do people really think that? Like, is that really
people think that cities are cursed? You know,
I think that's stupid.
Yeah, it's stupid. I mean, I bet you go to Oakland and people would say we were cursed. You know what I mean?
That's what I was just gonna say. Like, we thought that we would never win anything.
Exactly, and now you guys won 73 games, so this is ridiculous. But yeah, I think that LeBron doesn't leave. But let's get to the chat room to see some questions, see what the people want to know.
I'll let you handle all that. So feel free.
Yeah. So, we've asked this. We've had this question so many times, but people really want to know: is KD leaving, and where do you think he is going? And we talked about this a bunch.
Yeah, I'm really confused with that. I do not know. I don't know what he's gonna do.
It's kind of silly when you think about it. It's kind of silly to think that he would leave, right? Because they played so good. And I think that if they had a veteran dude, not just a veteran, but a veteran who contributes, right? So like Derek Fisher was a veteran, but how much did he do on the floor? Not much. If they had a veteran that contributed, you know what I mean? That it would be a different series and they would probably have won.
I don't know about that because you can consider KD a vet now. He's not a rookie.
Yeah, no, a vet doesn't mean how long you played in the league. It's you've been in certain situations.
Haven't they been in the finals?
In one finals.
That's
and
enough.
They got their ass kicked.
Yeah, and there's you just said LeBron learned from last time. I'm sure KD learned something too. Like, you know what I mean?
What's the closest the closest every time KD and Russ get into a close game, they usually end up losing.
Well, I think that might be because it's like, who do you give the ball to?
Well, we saw first Russ tries to take over in Game 7, and it didn't work out. Then he gave the ball to KD, and remember he cut it down to 6.
No, I know.
Like, oh my God, what's happening?
Yeah, I thought they were coming back on that one.
Yes, so that's the thing. They take turns. But I think that if Tyson Chandler was there, he'd be like, Russ, stop. Like, we're moved. You know what I mean?
Maybe, but that's where I feel like that's why you have your captain.
Mm-hmm.
And you have everybody else. Like you were saying earlier, you got Curry. Curry is the definitive number one go-to. Everybody on the squad knows it. Mm-hmm. If Curry's having a rough night, guess what happens? Everybody steps up. It's not Klay. It's everybody.
It's one thing to say that, though, but it's another thing when the guy who is clearly the number one on his team by his teammates doesn't force stupid stuff. Because Harden is clearly the number one, right, on his team. But Harden, believes that, and he just tries to force whatever. Curry, look at him in this series. He's not trying to force stuff, and his team is blowing the other team out. But he knows he's the number one, so that's just I
think that with the Harden thing, though, Harden's style of play limits him.
Yeah, for sure.
His style of play relies on him getting to the – it's less about scoring and more about, hey, let's get this foul. And I think you should be scoring. If you get fouled, great, you get and one or whatever. But
okay,
I think that his way of approaching the game is flawed.
Right. So how about this? Alpha Wolf 12 asks, can D Rose become his MVP self? Okay,
I hope so.
Right, everyone hopes so. You wouldn't wish that upon anyone. No, I wish D Rose wasn't his self. But here's the thing. To me, I got Derrick Rose jerseys. I rolled hard with that dude. Loved the Bulls. Loved Rose. Thought it was a great story, especially his MVP season. The year after his MVP season, I thought he was the best point guard in the game. He was making passes before his guys even got to the spot, and it was just perfect basketball. I know Rose.
Personally?
It's 100. No, not personally. I wish. I almost went to Oahu, a neighbor island, when he was there, when I was living in Maui.
Oh,
anyways,
stalker status.
Oh no, it was like an event, but if you want to call me a stalker, that's okay.
No. I thought that you just heard that he was there.
No. But to me, it's 100% mental with that guy. Honestly.
Oh, definitely. And that's you can't. That's another thing where kind of like with the Jerry West thing, where like you can't knock that unless you've been through it. Like getting injured sucks.
Right. It's 100% mental with him, and you can't blame the guy, right? I mean, shoot, if I tore my ACL, I probably wouldn't do half the stuff I do today, right? But that
Well, like that, it depends because like you gotta compare apples to apples at this point, and so compare him to Westbrook at this for this particular situation.
Mhm,
Both point guards, both have similar injuries.
mhm,
Um, both came back two different results.
exactly.
So what you had was Rose coming back being not quite what he was initially,
Mhm,
slowly gaining his confidence, which is normal.
mhm.
And then he injures himself again, doing just what he does, you know? And then you have the same thing happening with Russ, but that doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
No, but
Where he doesn't get the second injury.
to his knee though. But he did get
Correct.
that injury to his head where he almost died,
That's different though.
inches away to dying.
No, I know, but that's different. That's different though. I'm just saying,
Is
like,
it? Is it? Because if I
yeah.
went into the lane and got knocked in the head like that and I was inches away from dying, I probably want to go back in the lane again. That's just me though.
Uh, no,
I know it's
because
a different
like,
body
look,
part, but seriously.
yeah, but look, when you're doing your regular thing, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like you're doing your regular thing, and your knees are not working for you. That's what I'm saying is that Russell is able to still do what he does, and
True.
the knees are holding up.
Okay.
Derek's knees didn't,
Okay.
and it sucks. And so that's always probably going to be in the back of his mind. Anytime he decides to be even remotely explosive, it's going to be like, oh, which one's going to go out this time? You know?
All right. Brandon Hamilton. Shout out to Brandon. He watches a lot. He was talking about you earlier. He loves both of our channels. He's been watching since Kicks on Court Day. He says possibility of Steph leaving to go home to the Hornets. He said he would love to play for his hometown, and Steph Curry and Kemba Walker's contract end at the same year. So, as a Warrior fan, as a Bay Area native, what are your thoughts on that?
This is something that you and I have talked about a long time ago, actually.
Yeah,
And
I remember.
And we both are on the same page with it, where as long as they're winning, he stays. As soon as things kind of go a little bit, I don't know if we want to call it south or they're just not working out, then we can see him finishing out his career in his hometown.
I think that if he wins 2 or 3 rings,
He stays or he goes.
I think there's a possibility he leaves. He says, hey, look, I appreciate you guys. You guys obviously look, if they keep going at a record pace like this, like if they're always winning 70 games, then yeah, obviously he's probably not going to leave. But if they're just like, like a regular any given season, good first seed, 60 games, nothing historically spectacular.
Yeah.
I think even if he wins, they're winning like that, he leaves because he's like, hey, look, I've given everything to you guys. I gave you rings. I gave you all of this stuff. I want to play at my hometown. And especially if he's the unrestricted free agent, which he probably will be because that's what all superstars do. He'll probably be like, look, like my dream ever since I was a kid was to play for my hometown. So I think there's a world where no matter what the Warriors are, winning or not, he leaves to go back to the Hornets. I do. I believe that.
I think it's more than a possibility. The funny question would be, how do you think his reception would be with Jordan being in charge of that team with his brand and then bringing in Under Armour? Because that's, I mean, Under Armour is a huge thing with Curry right now. So,
look, I know Jordan is competitive, but at the same time, the dude loves money.
Yeah.
And anything to get his team. Like if he was like, oh, we get the best player in the okay, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, I get that the Jordan brand signs are all over the Time Warner Cable Arena, but
that's what I mean.
Yeah, like, I get that, but at the end of the day, that's gonna overshadow anything Curry did, like the ticket sales.
Yeah, no, I'm just,
you know what I mean?
I'm just saying, it's just, I think it's funny that
that is funny.
Too huge, because think about it. As soon as Kemba's Under Armour contract came up, what was he seen rocking?
Yeah, Jordans. Well, he wore Jordans before too.
No, but immediately though.
Yeah, no, immediately.
There was like no. It wasn't like the Wall situation where that dude's contract expired and he kept wearing his shoe just out of the kindness of his own heart. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
okay, so Antonio Coppola says, why is Dirk the most overlooked superstar in the past 10 years? Why is Dirk the most overlooked superstar in the past 10 years?
Not overrated though?
No, not overrated, overlooked. What are your thoughts on Dirk as a whole? Just give us your thoughts.
I think Dirk is a really good player.
Why is he overlooked?
I don't know. I think it's a kind of like I wouldn't call it a curse, but kind of like what the stigma is attached to like someone like Tracy. It's attached to him too. That you win only to a certain point. So
he did win a ring though.
I know, but that's what I mean though. Is that like before then, like he was only attached with winning than losing. Like that was what he was known for, which is a bummer. And it's kind of like what a lot of people might associate with someone like LeBron if he doesn't start winning championships in Cleveland. You know what I mean? With so many finals appearances. So I wouldn't call personally him overlooked though, just because who wouldn't want that guy on their team? He's a 7-footer that can shoot threes. He's not a great defender though.
No.
What was that video that you did with the "You're done, son"?
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh, that shit was.
The Warriors. We believe
that was the Warriors one.
Yeah, their game plan was literally attack Dirk. Like I'm serious. Like
funny though.
Steven Jackson ISO you would never say in your life, but Don Nelson was like, because he coached him. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. Is it like that's his one glaring weakness is like defensively for a big guy, dude. Like that's fucked, man.
Oh
because like big men are known to be like defensive prowesses on the court. Like you got to get past this dude or whatever. But this guy's like, just go at him.
Oh yeah,
Dirk's a big softy.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I think that is a stigma with him too. Is a lot of people think Dirk's soft. So
true. Okay, so how about this? David Lorgan says. And I'm only asking this because I just want to shut it down right now. Will Steph sign with Nike after Under Armour contract finishes? Let the people know.
No.
That's it? That's soft. I would say hell.
Oh, no. It's not going to happen. Sorry.
Negative percent possibility.
Yeah, Nike really fucked that one up.
No, they did. But I mean, after what we hear actually went down with Nike and Steph, they screwed up.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they fucked up by letting Curry go because Curry's a dime a dozen still. No matter how influential, good, groundbreaking, record-breaking he is, as a signature athlete, you're one of many right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Nike fucked up on what happened, not by letting him go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how about this? Dan Paugen, a frequent watcher, shout out to him, says Westbrook overrated? Many say he is actually a better player than Curry and Durant. What are your thoughts, Chris?
I think that this goes into skill versus athleticism.
This is something I've been saying.
Yeah, I think that Russell Westbrook as an athletic athlete is unguardable. Like the guy's amazing.
Right.
The stuff that he does in the league, or not in the league, but like in the games is like just, I mean, it's nothing short of like, oh damn, you know what I mean? What was it, game 2? I don't remember which game it was, but in the last series, like the dude lit it up.
Yeah.
He was in and out, not just shooting, not just dunking. The dude was all over the place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In passing lanes, everything. He's incredible. He's an incredible athlete.
Right. But I've never seen him just dissect a defense. He always overpowers it.
Yeah, so that's right where it ends though, is that with basketball you have to be smart. Basketball is very similar to chess, where you have to pick your pieces and you have to pick your moves. Really, I mean, it's X's and O's for a reason, man. And you can have a team led by a small pipsqueak babyface assassin, whatever the fuck you call him, and dominate the league because of IQ.
Here's the difference And you need an IQ to realize that you need an IQ. But
Of
here's
course,
the difference
of course.
between Curry and Westbrook, in my opinion. One of the differences, because there's many, but the main one to me is there's a difference between Westbrook passing to Roberson in the corner, who's open. You know, we always were taught pass it to open man. Corner Roberson, who's
I think I know. Yeah, I think you know where you're going with this.
So there's a difference between Westbrook passing to that guy, and then Curry passing to Iggy, who's on the wing, who then passes to Barnes, who's in the corner. But Barnes is only open because Curry initially passed it to the wing guy, and the defense overhelped. There's a difference. That doesn't show up in the stat sheet unless you get into the advanced stats and you look at secondary assists, which Curry led the league in, and Westbrook did not.
Well, going to just me and you playing pickup in class, and then you remember that guy Doru, the point guard that thinks he's a point guard. So, and his passes, I would be open, and I mean I would bet on me, not to be cocky, just because I'm a shooter. I know that I could make that shot, and he would pass it to some bumbling idiot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Instead of me, because he's closer to the basket. I don't know what the logic was behind it, but you're gonna pass it to some doofus instead of passing it to somebody that 9 out of 10 is gonna make that. I don't think that makes any sense, and that's simple IQ. That's not even getting into breaking defenses down with pick and rolls and shit, which is super easy. But
okay, so. How about this? By Alpha Wolf 12, will the 100-point game ever be broken? What do you think?
What are you talking about? Like a 100-point score? Like
a game?
Like what Kobe did?
Well, that was
he didn't. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, like by a single person.
Yeah.
I think with the way that the game is headed, like the way that it's played right now, I do think it's possible.
Here's my thing about that. The Wilt game doesn't have film.
What, you think it's fake? Like, what the fuck?
I don't think it's fake. I did think he scored 100 in a game.
Okay.
But there are rumors by people who say they were at the game.
Oh, okay.
And they said that game was atrocious. That, like Wilt just stayed. He didn't get back on D sometimes, and he would like cherry pick, and the defense kind of gave up on him and just let him do whatever he wanted. And
whose fault is that?
Stuff like that. No, I get it. But I'm just saying that I would like to see the film of that game. I'm not saying 100 points isn't impressive. It was, but we've heard stories about like these high school kids getting 100 points in a game. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's like, oh, okay. Like, what are we really talking about? Points
it included free throws and everything too, right?
Exactly. Okay. And so to me, I'm a little biased because I am a Laker fan, but the 81 by Kobe. Now, look, the Raptors weren't a defensive team at all.
I was going to say it's not, that this type of scoring in a game is not going to happen against an elite defending team.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think the 81 by Kobe is just as impressive as the 100. As stupid as that sounds, because obviously 100 is greater than 81.
Well,
but we have film of that game.
Well, okay. even then though, to score anywhere, to me, if you're scoring 43 or more, I mean, you're impressive.
And Kobe scored 60 in his last game, just to let you know.
That's what I'm saying, though, is that if you're going above that, like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to see how difficult that is. Like,
yeah. Crazy. And look, Kobe only needed to make, if he made all of his free throws, because he did miss some, and he, instead of taking those long twos, because the Kobe shot was the one where his foot was on the line. That's the Kobe shot. If he had a couple of those in the game, if he had 3 of those taken back as threes and made all of his free throws, he would have got to 100. I read that in a book one time. So
I think that that's dope. And so this is the thing, though, is that if you score above 43, look, man, you're a badass. So,
yeah. Here's a caveat to the question, and then we'll go on to the next one. Will the 100-point game ever be broken? I think the way they game.
That's
right?
what I'm saying. The way that they play the game right now, I think it's very possible.
Here's the caveat. I think it'll be broken in an all-star game.
Well,
Bet on it.
what will come first? Will the 100-point meeting or exceeding game come first, or will it be after implementing a 4-point line?
They won't ever do that. That's
You don't think
blasphemy.
so?
Stop
You don't
it.
think so?
Stop it.
I don't know.
Okay, how about this? He Young Park asks, can you please talk about HGH usage in the NBA? They only recently started testing last year for HGH. Do you think
What's HGH?
HGH is like a performance enhancer?
Is that the shit that you think LeBron's on, or you just think he's on steroids?
I think LeBron's on something. And let me ask you a question, and I want to get this out on the internet because I haven't really said it.
Okay.
Did LeBron lose his hair or did his forehead get bigger?
It could be either one. I mean, Wade got a big head now too, though. You know what I mean?
He could be on HGH. All those dudes who got busted for HGH, guess where they were caught?
Miami.
Miami. I'm just saying.
But
look,
no, I will say this though, real quick, as an old person myself, older person. Okay, my head is bigger than when I was 18.
Okay.
So
I will also say this. I'm not sure, but what do cramps have to do with not taking your regular medicine during the NBA Finals where the testing is ramped up? I don't know.
I got nothing.
I don't know.
I do think that it should be heavily tested sporadically though throughout the year.
I think it's fine. I think if these dudes want to take that crap, then whatever. It's to me. It's like whatever.
No, to me that's the thing though, is that if you're really competitive, then you don't need that shit. Like you need to work on
it. I get that for sure. One guy, Vay Asatran. Oh my God, these names are crazy. Says 81 by Kobe is better than 100 in today's standards. I mean,
well, I mean, I'm sure it was more difficult. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, and I'm sure that at the point when it ever gets tied or broken, it'll be more difficult then too. So,
Pio Perez says Lisa Leslie got 110. I don't remember that, but that's awesome.
When? And was that in a WNBA game?
I don't know, but I think Reggie Miller's sister got 100. Remember that?
I don't, but I saw somebody, leaving it a comment in like a high school or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah. So,
and those aren't high school games a lot shorter too?
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
crazy. And there's no stop clock and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so 100 points, very interesting. But yes, I do think a lot of these guys are on HGH, but I don't necessarily mind it. I mean, would you be surprised if Jordan was on HGH? Honestly,
I would. Yeah.
You would be surprised?
Yes, because you cannot legitimately consider yourself the greatest of all time, and it's not you.
I get it.
It's not you.
I get it. But we all love Cap.
Huh?
We all love Cap.
Captain America?
Yeah, man. He's on HGH.
Dude, that guy's a super... You're talking about something that's not real, bro. Like
it's real to me, Chris.
And that was a volunteered thing, and he could have died from that shit.
Cap?
Yeah, it was an experimental situation.
Which is why I think it's fine. Okay.
I can't believe you threw Captain America. The guy's not even real, dude.
I'm all about that entertainment, bro. Sam Jones, I'm actually thinking about making a video about this, but just name one because I want to save it for some of my videos. But what's the best finals PE you've ever seen?
Fuck. Well, that's a new thing. That's something that we were talking about too recently. The best one, shit, man. I don't know. I don't have the best memory, as we all know.
I don't like, again, I'm not a huge fan of LeBron line, but I remember seeing those red and gold PEs of the 9 and 10 and just being like, what the hell?
I was going to say the 10 one was sick. The Elite 10?
What the hell? That's a terrible shoe, but I remember seeing those and being like, what? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of the guys that have the PEs are Nike athletes anyways, so it wouldn't be
There's not a lot.
Yeah, it wouldn't be anything crazy. I think that what they're doing right now with the budget models being PEs, I think that's a slick move.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you got suckered into that.
Yeah, 3 times.
So,
So, yeah.
And there's an article up at WordTesters.com right now. Plug of
Yeah.
Draymond Green's new Hyper
Oh,
Red PE that he wore in Game 2. Oh my god,
those are gorgeous.
they're blue and gold. Go check it out. WordTesters.com.
Yeah.
I posted it. Those are so sick. It's gonna make you return your white and gold if they drop.
I was gonna say if they drop those, then I'm returning the white and golds for them because those are clean.
Those are so clean, dude.
They're super clean. Dude.
They have potential to be not as good in person as they are in the photos, though, because again, Nike
maybe, but
sometimes they do that.
No,
I know. I'm definitely gonna try.
They look pretty damn good.
Yeah. Okay. So how about this? Who's the most underrated player in the league for you?
Right now?
By Dan Paugen. Yeah. Who's the most underrated?
Underrated?
Uh-huh.
I don't have the NBA knowledge that you do. I don't watch every game and stuff. Most of the time I'm at the gym. So
who's a guy that you think should get more shine then?
Yeah, somebody that I think should get more shine, and I talked about this a little while ago, is Klay.
Okay.
Because of what he does on the defensive and then offensive end. I think he gets a lot of shit for not shooting well. But they don't realize that
the gravity.
His legs are, I mean, the dude's guarding the best player on the court.
Yep. I agree.
Curry's not, you know what I mean? And that's no shot at Curry. It's just the truth. So, you know, and I think that's smart from a coaching perspective, being like, hey, Curry's a better shooter than you, Klay, even though you're a great shooter. Make sure Curry's got fresh legs. And, you know, Klay, you shut down. Not that Curry would be able to shut down anybody, but I'm just saying.
Right.
You know, it's a good move.
My most underrated player is this guy named Lance Thomas, who recently played for the Knicks. I think he's a free agent. But Lance Thomas is like a poor man's Draymond. But I'm telling you, if a poor man's Draymond is what that guy Lance Thomas is, then I wouldn't mind being poor, because the guy hustles. He's a Duke guy, 4-year guy, so you know he's a smart player. Got coached very well by Coach K. Shoots threes, mid-range, finishes around the rim. He's like 6'8". He's not terribly quick, but again, sometimes on defense, all you need to do is try hard, which a lot of these guys don't do. So,
correct.
Lance Thomas. Sometimes defense, it just comes down to that guy's more athletic than you. But if you don't try hard, you never know. So how about this by Vahe? He says, will Cleveland be the worst team to ever perform in the finals? ... Twice. There have been worse teams in the finals. Like the 99 Knicks, they were pretty bad. They were bad. Latrell Sprewell.
No, I remember that. Latrell was one of our guys.
Ooh, those were bad.
That was not a good time in Warriors history. I had his little shit. What were those things called? I don't remember what they were, but they were like the little big head things before it was popular. And they had the player's name on the bottom of the little stand. But anyways, I don't know. I just think that this goes back into what we were talking about earlier with critiquing the you know, LeBron's record in the finals, and we'll see. It's sure looking that way right now, but you never know. Didn't they get swept out of the finals one year?
Who? LeBron?
Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah, against the Spurs.
Oh yeah, that's right.
In 07.
Yeah, that was a badass team though.
Business being in the finals, anyways. Pio Perez says, "What do you think about banning Hack-a-Shaq? What do you think, man?
What? Like banning just hacking?
The Hack-a-Shaq thing, yeah.
I don't know. I just
make your free throws.
Yeah, it's not used all that often anymore. You know what I mean?
It got used 400 times this year. Last year was like 150. But
really?
Yeah, so Adam Silver's really pissed about it, the commissioner. But I think you need to make your free throws. Chris Webber was like a 58% free throw shooter coming into the lead. He ended up being like a 78% free throw shooter by the end of his career. So make your free throws.
That and it all comes down to what we were saying earlier. This is a chess game. You know, it's a strategy. That's a strategy to use. I don't think that you should ban a strategy. I think that's dumb.
Right.
So.
Yep, I agree. All right. So I think that pretty much takes care of this. Was a pretty cool talk. Hopefully we get to do more of these after hopefully every game. But Nightwing thinks he jinxes the Warriors by watching.
I don't think I watched them tonight. It was
the whole thing.
No, I missed the first two quarters, but
Not too bad, man.
we only were down in the first quarter, but yeah, no, I everybody was telling me that we won because I didn't watch the last two games, which is funny. It was just
typical like
Warriors
sports fan. Yeah,
Warriors mentality, though. You know what I mean?
it's not just Warriors. It's like any team that sucked before mentality. You know, like I'm sure the Knicks would have the same mentality.
With sports in general. It's like superstition is like high. You know what I mean? Like with that kind of stuff. So I don't mind.
Yeah. So are you gonna do the spicy ramen challenge? Some people are asking.
Well, where did you get that spicy ramen? I want to do it with you. I'll have you do it again.
Oh my god! It's that well, I'll probably just bring some over then. But it's like we got it at like Seafood City, like an Asian market. You got a ton out there.
Yeah, we got a
Ranch 99. Yeah, Ranch. Actually, it was Ranch 99 that we got it from. But okay. Yeah, but so you did Balut before. Tell the people about that, because that's a great story. Idiot.
That's one. Did you call me an idiot?
Yes, you're an idiot for eating that.
You got to go back and watch that video if you haven't seen it, because we go up close on the actual. If you don't know what balut is, it's a it's a duck egg that's got not a fully formed embryo, but it's got the embryo in it. So like it's like eating a fucking abortion. It's disgusting, dude. The thought of it, the thought of it is disgusting. And we up close on mine because like my friend Benny was over, you know Benny, and he brought a whole tray of a dozen of these things.
It should be illegal, honestly, in America.
Bruh, like this shit's crazy. And he was cracking them open, and I was just looking at them, and like the duck embryos were so tiny. They look like little cells with like beaks on them, right? And then I get mine because I was gonna do my piece to do the challenge. And I cracked mine open, and mine had a fucking fully goddamn formed duck in there, dude. It had feathers, it had bones. Like I was like tripping, bro. Like, and I was like,
and it was at that moment Nightwing realized that he fucked up.
Yeah, and then I started the smell of it. The smell of things like will really like affect like my gag reflex, and oh man, the smell of that shit was gnarly, dude. Mm-mm. And the good thing is that when I finally put it all down my hatch and everything, it just tasted like a hard-boiled egg, but it's the thought of what you're eating is just,
to me, texture is a big thing when I'm eating. Like that's why
I can't do tapioca or nothing. I'll literally
so I don't do tapioca. You like avocado, but to me it's like
well, but avocado doesn't have a weird texture, but I know what you mean though.
To you, yeah. Look, I'm half Filipino, but I won't even do that shit. You have to remember, I grew up with my white mama. We had hot pockets. We didn't have balut. We didn't have pancit. I will never, ever, ever, I promise you, ever do a balut challenge. You would have to pay me a large sum of money. Like I'm talking buy a house money.
That's the funny thing, though, is that when I was growing up, my best friend was Filipino, and I'd always be over at his house. And even if I wasn't hungry because I was skinny, his mom would be like, "You got to eat." And I'd be like,
Filipino moms are like that.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Chris, you got to come eat." And I was just like, "Bro, I'm not hungry, dude." And she's like, "You got to eat." It wasn't even a question. You're over at my house, you're eating. Like that's like the entrance fee. Yep. And so I'd eat whatever they had, and a lot of times I wasn't really feeling it, but I had to be like polite and everything, be like, yeah, this is delicious. So,
with Leica's mom, she's like that. I would pretend to eat.
Oh no, I had to eat. She'd watch me. It was messed up. She was like my mom. I remember getting smacked upside the head from her so many times.
How are people amazed that I'm half Filipino? This is not a secret.
I don't know.
People are saying that I thought I looked half Mexican, and we'll close on this story. Well, the mustache and my last name doesn't help. True. But I'll close on this story. It's a fantastic one. What?
That's because the Spaniards took over the Philippines.
That's true. Here's the story. We were in San Diego. Me, Leica, her brother, and Leica's mother. Bars. And we were at a restaurant, and I wasn't quite hungry, but they were hungry. So we go to this restaurant. They order a bunch of food, obviously. And I'm not eating.
Take a Filipino to a buffet and see what happens.
Oh, I know.
They get their money's worth.
And I wasn't eating, and Leica's mom is like, come on, you got to eat. And I was like, no, I'm not in the mood right now. I'm just not that hungry. And she goes, why don't you eat the rice? Don't your people eat the rice? And I was like, my people. And she's like, yeah, Mexicans like rice. And I was like, wait, what? And me and like had been going out for at least 4 years, probably
Wow,
4 years.
really? I was thinking that you're gonna say months.
No, and I was like, don't you know that I'm Filipino? And it just hit her. She was like, oh, you're Filipino. Oh my God. It was just like, what the hell? But
That's awesome.
Yeah, we just want to thank everyone who watched. We appreciate it. If you guys like these kind of videos, support it. We'll definitely do more. So give us a thumbs up or whatever. Leave a comment on what kind of stuff you would like us to talk about. We like sneakers and basketball, comics, but yeah, check out our trash talks if you like these kind of videos. We have a bunch of trash talk episodes where we talk about, you know, anything from sneakers to movies to comic books, stuff like that. If you like this video, you'll like that video. The only difference is there isn't a live chat room and there's a little more editing. But
a lot more editing.
But yeah, so thanks for watching. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.